What up, friends, and welcome back to the Ricardo Report. I'm your host, Chad Ricardo, and joining me today riding shotgun, my main man, T. Force.
Hey, what's going on,
New seat
man?
for you, bro.
New seat, feels good.
Excited to have you there.
I see what it means. Yeah.
Also, for the first time, my main man, Ricardo Report contributor, Howard University, I should say, student athlete as well, Evan Brooks. Thank you, brother.
You're welcome.
Coming up soon, Josh E. Laurie is going to be joining the set, and we have a very special guest, the Director of Parks and Rec, Mr. Kieth Anderson. But first, Duquesne University's four-time MAC champion and all-conference defensive back turned author, speaker, and empowerment coach. That's impressive, Mr. Paul Mulbah. How are you today, sir?
Great to be here, man. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Listen, so one of the things that I didn't mention is that you also played ball in the Arena League and began a career in coaching before shifting in the direction that you're in right now. I want to get you started right here. You started a new mission, and in philosophy, that's the Moss philosophy. Talk to me about the Moss philosophy.
The Moss philosophy is really just based around what makes players great, right? A lot of guys talk about talent, skill, but, I wanted to take it a step further. So I studied Michael, I studied Tiger, I studied Muhammad, I studied all the greats, right? And I realized what separated them was their mindset. So the Moss philosophy is an acronym for mindset over skill set. It's teaching a mentality versus, just the athletic part. It's working on the whole circumference of an athlete.
Awesome. And speaking of the mindset, I know that has a great influence. By the way, guys, you got to check this book out.
He's got a book.
I'm a big fan. Born to be more than an athlete, one of the greatest books I have ever read about sports. Now, I got a question for you, Mr. Paul. When an athlete gets, past that stage of being a sports guy, during that phase of, going through your transition, what would you say is the first step that's vital to make sure that they're ready for the rest of their life?
Well, what we try to teach throughout the process is, what has this process with football or basketball, whatever the sport might have been, what has it taught you? Right. What have you become in that process? And we want to use some of those skills, some of those relationships, and we maximize it to help you become whatever else that you're trying to do. So with using sports as a leverage or like just kind of like a fast forward to helping you, a stepping stone to your future and your life's work.
And again, just before, look, you can find us on borntobemorethanaathlete.com, right?
Yes, sir.
And on Amazon, eBay. Thank you, Evan. You got some for him?
Yes, I do. So, Mr. Mulbah, my question is, what words of advice would you have for someone who's a student athlete like myself and other student athletes?
So, depending on what area you're moving into, I would tell you to get around those people, to leverage your ability to play now with your coaches, with your administrators, and say, you know what, this is the area that I'm trying to move into, and how can you help me? What relationships do you have? And can I make those connections right now? And that way, by the time you walk out the door, you'll have an opportunity waiting for you, opposed to getting out and trying to figure it out.
Which is what happens to a lot of student athletes, right? Because you get in there and then you find yourself almost as though you're lost.
Definitely.
Because you're trying to reach back to your days as a football player, but you're not, you defined yourself by being a football player, and you're not that anymore.
Right. As a football player, as an athlete, you have leverage.
Correct.
They need you.
Right.
So while they need you, you want to maximize that. You want to get everything you can get out of that process, because you won't have it for much longer. So the idea is to say, I have power right here, right now. Let me use that so that I can use that power for wherever else that I'm going.
So, exactly. That's what I spoke with Natalie Randolph about previously, about using the athletics as a vehicle.
Definitely.
I tell you what, it's time to get into our hot take for the day. Now, you might be getting a little hot because this is the point where we actually have a little bit of a conversation here. You ready for this?
I'm ready.
All right. Today's hot take of the day comes from Julie Sparks on Facebook. For everyone watching at home, you can reach us on Facebook or on Twitter at Ricardo Report. Send us your message. We may read it on air. Julie Sparks says that I'm a single mom raising a 15-year-old football player who's just getting into lifting weights. She says that many of his friends are using supplements such as creatine, protein powder, as well as weight gainer. I don't know whether I should allow for him to use in order to keep up or whether I should ban it from my household. This is major. Supplements amongst student athletes. What do we think of that?
Well, I like to jump out and say, I personally used creatine at one point. I only used a bottle of it, but it did help me gain a little bit of mass, you know, as well as a protein shake to help me get to that point where I can compete with the top guys. However, you have to understand the repercussions of that, right? Creatine is bad for your kidneys.
It's bad for the kidneys.
Right.
You gotta be drinking a lot of water.
Right. You gotta drink a lot of water if you're gonna use it. But on top of that, you gotta put in the work.
Correct.
Creatine is just not gonna blow you up by yourself. Right. So you have to put in the work, drink the water, and then I would suggest it, but only little increments of it, not like you know, like Kool-Aid.
Now, I didn't take supplements while I was in high school, but much of me wishes that I did. You know, because I didn't really start lifting weights until I was in my college weightlifting program and using these things. It may have helped a little bit. T, what's your take on this?
Look, man, I think health comes first. I'm always about, you know, staying healthy, living a long life. Just as your book emphasizes, you know, being an athlete is not what you do for the most part of your life, you know. So let's take care of what, you know, we're looking forward to. So I'm really look, I know you're both athletes. The most sports I've ever done is play video games in my room. So yeah, I understand you might need it, but I'm concerned about the repercussions, you know, like, you know, the aftermath.
Evan, you are still presently a student athlete playing ball out there at Howard. You got the last word.
Yes, sir. So for me, I personally drank protein shakes. I took it, me being a smaller guy, you know.
You played at DeMatha.
Yes, right. So, you know, we're going against top competition at the WCAC. So me, I needed it, you know, just to make sure that my body was okay. Like you said, we are more than athletes, but for me, I needed it, you know, just to make sure that those bigger guys, they're, you know, tackling me, trying to catch me, to make sure that, you know, my body stays intact.
Tell you what, this is the type of conversation that we can carry on for a very long time.
Shout out to Julia, by the way, being a single mom. I know we just had
single mothers, right. Doing their best to raise young men. That's awesome.
That's awesome.
We're going to continue this conversation because coming up, Director of Parks and Rec, Kieth Anderson, will be on. We'll ask him how he feels about supplements amongst student athletes. Paul, thank you very much, brother.
Pleasure, man. Thank you.
Awesome, man.
Keep it locked here. It's the Ricardo Report. And welcome back to the Ricardo Report. A ton of great things going down in the region. Our very own Matt Granado had an opportunity to check out the Quicken Loans National PGA Tournament. Let's check this out.
The DC region is no stranger to the major sporting events, and this year you can put the Quicken Loans National on that list here at TPC Potomac. Golf enthusiasts and pros from around the world are coming right here to the region to hit the links behind me. Now this year, regional native and defending champ from last year's Quicken Loan National, Billy Hurley III, spoke about his feelings on defending his championship and playing right back here at home.
To win any tournament on the PGA Tour, like, sign me up. Okay, I'll do it. But to win the Quicken Loans National, to hold the trophy with Tiger, to, you know, sign the wall with two petty officers in the Navy next to me. I mean, you know, it was storybook stuff for me. I love having the support, and I love having friends and family around, and it'll be fun to play here again near my hometown.
The Quicken Loans National is hosted by the Tiger Woods Foundation, a program that's connecting youth in D.C. with programs to help them succeed.
Since the tournament's inception in 2007, we've opened 3 TGR Learning Labs in the Washington, D.C. area, and we've welcomed more than 30 underserving youth into our Earlwood Scholar program. Very proud of the impact that we're able to make through all of those who support the Quicken Loans National. Our Earlwood Scholar program is for graduating high school seniors who, many of which, over 90% of which, are first-generation college students. They don't necessarily have the infrastructure and the support structure to navigate through college. So what we do is we welcome them into our program, and we provide them educational support through access to internships and workshops.
This year, Tiger Woods won't be competing in the Quicken Loans National, but he'll be in attendance, taking it all in.
Thank you very much, Matt Granado. Again, back here at the Ricardo Report, it's now time to introduce a very special guest, a native of the District of Columbia and a graduate of DC's public school system, your current Director of Parks and Rec. How are you today,
I'm doing
brother?
well. It's a pleasure to be here.
Thank you so very much.
right.
Listen, man, I mean, you're so big time and you had to come take the time to stop by the Ricardo Report.
Well, you can't go. You got to make time for the Ricardo Report.
For the people.
For the people.
My man, thank you very
And for
much.
the youth.
Keith Anderson, T's got a question for you, brother.
I've been a stalker. I've been stalking, right?
Uh-oh, you stalking
and,
me?
one of the things I noticed was you're big on sports, man. You got an extensive sports background. Let me ask you this: can you elaborate on just a little bit of what you've been doing as far as sports is concerned, like as far as like your
throughout your
history?
career?
Just give us a
Right,
rundown.
right.
Man.
So, you know, I played almost every sport that I could.
Yeah.
I swam. I played football, tennis, boxing, lacrosse.
Absolutely.
You know, you name it, I've done it. One thing that is very important to me that we teach our youngsters that are in DPR programs, two things: sportsmanship and the fundamentals of the game.
Correct.
You know, there are no 6-year-olds that are going to get college scholarships at the games that they play in.
True.
There are no scouts in the stand. What's important to me is when you leave a DPR program that you understand the fundamentals of the game in which you're playing. And that's what is important to me. This is what I stress with my staff, and this is what I want every youngster who goes through our program, whatever sport they're in, to understand and know. Sportsmanship and the fundamentals of the game.
That's amazing.
Period. And let's have fun.
Now, listen, Mr. Anderson, I'm going to take it like this. Summer is on the horizon, right?
That's right.
It's a very difficult time for a lot of youth to stay in shape. When I was a kid, I struggled with my weight management, and oftentimes during the summer, I'm at home, I'm eating cookies, et cetera, et cetera. What upcoming summer programs do you have that you would like for kids to get excited about?
So we offer 94 different camps within DPR. So there's no excuse to sit home and
eat cookies.
and
I'm
play
telling
video
you.
games.
Right.
all
I mean,
let's get outside and get a little vitamin D.
man.
All right.
Right.
All right. So you know, one of the things I really like is we are one thing that we offer are sports camps. Now, traditionally, when you think sports camps in DPR, you think basketball and football. Now we're introducing what I call non-traditional sports to the District of Columbia: lacrosse. Frisbee.
Yes.
Ultimate Frisbee.
Yes,
rather.
ultimate
Have you
Frisbee.
been to an Ultimate Frisbee game?
I've seen
You
it.
use almost
Yes.
every skill and
Correct.
fundamental that you would in football and basketball playing Ultimate Frisbee.
Right.
And so we're introducing these non-traditional sports to our youth to expose them to things that they otherwise would not be exposed to. So we have a tremendous amount of sports camps across the city. We have summer swim leagues. Another thing that's very important to me, they say people of color don't swim.
Nah,
And
you
more-
know
yeah.
we hear that rumor every now
we
and
hear
again.
that rumor.
Yeah.
Okay. And more importantly, they say
He gets his feet wet every now and then.
Well, I push him in the pool if he comes
Hey,
down.
look.
Now, and then more importantly, they say women of color don't swim.
Right.
We have a very robust swim program in DPR, and we have a swim competition every Friday at the Oxon Hill swimming pool. So come by around 4 o'clock every Friday, and you will see almost 300 kids of color competing.
That's amazing.
Before competing, I would want to take classes, but yeah.
We have classes for
Okay.
you. We have classes for parents and children starting at 18 months on up to seniors.
Ev, I know you're getting in here. I had an opportunity to speak with Natalie Randolph, and I know that that initiative there is to make sure to get female student athletes into more sports.
That's right.
When you speak of the swimming and you speak of things, are those opportunities for the female student athletes to take
Absolutely,
advantage of?
absolutely. We have a very big emphasis on our females and getting them involved in sports, and more importantly, the non-traditional
Title IX.
sports. There you go. And so we make sure, I want to make sure that every young lady of color who
Correct.
walks into our program has an opportunity to swim. Let's get past the hair. Let's
got
get
you.
past all the stereotypes.
Right.
Let's get you in the pool and learn
This
how
is
to
real
swim.
talk going
It's
on
real,
right now.
but it's serious. It's
Ev, what you
serious.
got? That's real.
All right, obviously, so with sports, you have to have very good facilities. So just what are the facilities around here in the DC area? What do they consist of?
The District of Columbia has world-class facilities. I've had the opportunity to visit many cities in this country,
Correct.
and nothing compares to DPR. We have. Let me just go through it for you. 76 recreation centers, 11 indoor pools, 19 outdoor pools, and I have more basketball courts, tennis courts, baseball fields, football fields, soccer fields than you can shake a stick at.
That is amazing.
And within 69 square miles that we call the District of Columbia, I might be the biggest property owner in DC government.
How cool
and
is that?
unless you can prove me otherwise, I am.
Look, if you said it here on the Ricardo Report, it must be
That's
true.
it.
It must be
You heard
true.
it first on the Ricardo
It
Report.
must be true.
Keith, we got a ton
Yeah.
more for you.
Okay.
We got to go to break right quick. We'll be right back. Keith Anderson of DPR. This is the Ricardo Report, having a great time with my main man, Mr. Keith Anderson, Director of Parks and Rec, right here in the district. Got to welcome in Joshie Laurie to the show, the jerseyed one. Keith, what you think of that jersey?
I don't like it.
Hey, we're winning, so we got haters.
Okay.
Right.
Look, man, as a Ravens fan, I can tell you are not welcome.
He's the outcast.
I love you, though. I love you, bro.
All right, so youth football is near and dear to us. We've got a great relationship with the GYFL, one of the top youth leagues in the nation. And we know that you guys used to be heavily involved in the Pop Warner League.
That's
so
right.
we're wondering, what has the Departments of Parks and Recreation taken to replace that community gathering and center that was Pop Warner?
Right. So we were in Pop Warner for many years, and Pop Warner, I have nothing against it, but there were some concerns there. My main concern with Pop Warner was the weight issue.
Right.
I had kids every weekend that were trying to make weight.
Yes.
They were taping themselves, sitting in saunas, all kinds. And we're talking about 8, 9,
Well,
8, 9, and 10-year-olds.
Listen, I mentioned last segment the fact that that I had weight issues as a kid for lack of programs. For football, to make weight, I would wear the rubber suits and run around a couple of times, and then I'd wear plastic bags under my equipment.
Now, is that
during
fun for a
practice.
10-year-old?
No, it
Right.
wasn't,
It's
brother.
not
Eating
fun for a
cookies
kid.
was a
That's
lot
not
healthy
healthy either.
It's not healthy either.
You
And
and
here's the
cookies.
biggest
You eat a lot of
thing. Here's the biggest thing. Pop Warner had and we all know this, Pop Warner has very strict weight requirements.
Correct.
Hypothetically, if you're 10 years old, you can't weigh more than 85 pounds, right? Well, I have some 10-year-olds who weigh 125.
Correct.
Now I have 10-year-olds playing with 12-year-olds.
Absolutely.
Now, you may not think that's a big difference, but physically,
right.
that's a big difference
And
when
also
you're playing
mentally.
football. And mentally.
is
So
a difference.
then we had injuries because I had a 10-year-old playing with a 12-year-old.
Absolutely.
And I could not keep exposing our kids to that.
Completely understood.
So we came out of Pop Warner. So DPR has its own league. If you're 10 years old, you play with 10-year-olds. And if you're overweight, guess what? I want you in the field. I want you in practice.
There
I
we go.
want you running.
Correct.
I want you active because now you're getting healthy. So the community aspect of it all is still there. Football is one of those games where it's a family thing.
I mean, hey, Chad and I were out there every Saturday with the GYFL. They treat us like family.
Right. So
I gotta ask though, all this talk about kids kind of making me sad, right? My girlfriend's been pushing me to, work out more.
my wife has done the same. Don't worry about it.
I'm not even fat. I'm not even fat. But is there anything for adults? Is there anything I can sign up for? Is there any leagues for grown-ups?
We have something for everyone. Last year, DPR served 2.4 million people.
Really?
And they weren't just children, and their dogs.
Wow.
Yes, we have 12 dog parks in the
Don't say
city.
it. Don't say
so
dogs.
we're here to talk about sports, but but go to dpr.dc.gov. We have a class, we have a program, and we have fitness centers that are free.
That's amazing.
Just for you. As a matter of fact, we just remodeled 10 of our fitness centers throughout the city to make sure that they're up to par for our residents to work out. So if you live in the city, it's free for you to come work out at DPR.
That's
Okay,
amazing.
cool. So I can revoke my Planet Fitness card.
You can revoke the Planet Fitness card and come see us at DPR.
This is awesome. I just saved $10.
So check this out.
120.
That's even better. Last week we had the Nats Youth Academy on the show. They were a wonderful group of individuals. I know that they're doing a ton to revitalize baseball
Yes.
in underprivileged communities. What I want to know from you is, do you see a decline in any other sports? And if so, are there any new unique sports on the horizon? I
Right.
know you mentioned
Right.
Ultimate Frisbee that can help to get kids back out and playing.
I'm not seeing a decline in the sports. What I'm seeing is an increase in the number of leagues
Really? Really?
that are making these sports available to
Okay.
youth in underserved communities. Baseball, we have a very robust baseball program in the District of Columbia. I don't have enough fields.
Right.
I could use 20 more baseball
Really?
fields to permit out to the Satchel Pages in the leagues throughout the city. And soccer has taken the city by storm.
Correct.
There, at any given time, almost all my fields on a Saturday or Sunday morning are permitted by soccer.
That's amazing.
So we're seeing a significant increase in the amount of sports offerings, and including leagues that are offering these sports, and it's just a pleasure to see. Another thing that I'm very proud to see is that we have a very robust senior population in the city. And we just had the senior games in the city, and
Get outta here.
I'm telling you,
Get
man.
out. I bet you better.
And our seniors are getting busy. I know some 60-year-olds that might outrun us all.
They definitely outrun me.
And don't get them on the pickleball court.
I don't want no.
They can play a mean game of pickleball.
Brother, I don't even know what pickleball is.
You
but
don't
it
want to
sounds like a good time.
It's a mix of tennis and badminton.
Okay.
You can play it in the gymnasium. But let me tell you, we have some mean pickleball players
That's
in the
all
city.
right.
So
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, don't get
We
yourself
might have
hurt.
to take that back down to 757 and get my mother on the pickleball.
Oh, she would
court.
love it. She would love it.
Now, in order for all this to be, obviously time is going by, and you have to adapt. So what do y'all do? How do you evolve? How do you make sure that what you're doing stays alive?
So this is how we move with the cheese. We do a tremendous amount of community engagement. With 76 recreation centers, I am literally in every community in this city. And so what we do is we go out to the communities, and our communities are changing. I mean, D.C. does not look like the same city it did 20 years ago.
No, it doesn't.
And so we get out there and we say, hey, community, we're going to have a meeting in 22 weeks about the programming in this facility. We want to hear from you. What would you like to have happen here? And so that's how we make sure that we stay ahead of the curve.
And you also keep the community engaged.
There you go. There you go. And make sure that we offer programs that the community wants to have in their recreation centers.
Yeah, Keith, we got to get out of you. Got 30 seconds here. What more does anybody out there, what do they need to know about DPR?
DPR offers something for everyone.
Absolutely.
Whether you are 90 years old or whether you are 9 months. So please, please, please check us out at dpr.dc.gov and let's have fun.
Amazing.
All right.
Keith Anderson, thank you very much for
Thank you.
stopping by the show
Absolutely.
here today, brother. Also want to give a huge shout out to our earlier guest, Paul Mulbah, Evan Brooks of the Ricardo Report, Mr. Josh E. Laurie, and T. Forrest, Sierra Breeze. We miss you at home. This has been the Ricardo Report.